Desperado, sitting in a old Monte Carlo. The man who's on his hollow. Take it easy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Brand News Peach Tea, episode 136. For those who are counting, we're opening up Rihanna's Desperado, courtesy of the season finale of Gen V, our good friend Rufus doing his reaction videos before the shit really hits the fan. So, thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening, back in our old home on a Wednesday night at 8:30 or a little after 8:30. Thanks for joining us. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, on X, or if you're joining us on Instagram, or if you found your audio-only podcast, we always appreciate the support. So we're going to be talking about some stuff tonight. We got Loki Season 2, Episode 5. As I mentioned, the season finale of Gen V. Season 1 finale, because that's been picked up for Season 2. Doom Patrol, Season 4, Episode 11. Second to last episode. Because next week, it is over. So, we got that to talk about, and Invincible is back, Season 2, Episode 1. So, a lot of TV to talk about tonight. But I'm Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, what's up, man?
Ed, good to be here. Good to see you. I just want to relay this story. I'm very disappointed. Yesterday was election day. It was the boring election day. It's not the mayor or the president or the governor. So it's the boring one, right? It's all the like legacy Democrats who just always win here. But I went to the polling office and I wrote in a write-in ballot for each and every one for Victor Von Doom. And he didn't win, and I'm very upset. I'm very upset because I think, honestly, Victor Von Doom would be a great, whatever the fuck those guys do. I don't even know who the hell I voted for, right? I just wrote in Victor Von Doom. Why isn't he on the ballot? Huh? Why? Because he's fictional? That's racist, as my kids would say. Did I break you, Ed?
You did. Actually, you did. I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on right now?
It's a very high school joke at this point. Sure. Like, if you say something like that, to just go, that's racist.
Oh, man, that's great. I don't know. I thought you were going to tell me you were writing in for the Hoff. I'm going to be honest. I mean, maybe it's because I still got this Germany stuff in my mind.
That's true. That's true. You did go to Germany, and I hear that the reason you were there were because you were looking for the origins of the Hoff. You were getting in touch with your inner Hoff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went under the guise of this football game. No. I was there. I'll say it now. We were trying to track down the Hoff. That was pretty much the goal there. I was unsuccessful, unfortunately. I did not run into the Hoff. Maybe next time I will be more successful. But I tried. I looked for him in some bars. I looked for him in a sushi spot. I did not notice him in the crowd at the game, but I also feel that maybe his presence being known would have taken all the attention away from the NFL. So they were like, listen, we can't have this right now. It's going to cause like a mob scene. Yeah. Let's chill out with this shit. And that was that. So he may have been there incognito.
Yeah, I mean, he can't just show up places in Germany. They'll fucking riot. I mean, it's not like here in the United States where we have no taste and we're just like, who's that? Oh, what? David Hasselhoff? Let's hassle him. What? No, in Germany, they have respect and reverence for the man.
Oh man. So yeah, but next time maybe if we can maybe I'll take my shot here throw out something to Farachi. Maybe for our 200th episode, we go back to Germany and we try to track down the Hoff, and we'll do some like live footage there. And who knows? Maybe we'll just hope not to get arrested.
That's the Pop Culture Pros event, stalking the Hoff.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just dedicate an entire 200th episode to this.
Oh god! Well, they say we couldn't hassle them, but no one ever said anything about stalking them. Because I gotta have an accent if we're going abroad, and it can't be a German one.
No, they would be pretty upset about that one.
No, I have a rule: you never do the accent of the country you're currently in. Like, I would never go to England and do the English accent. That's like smacking them in the face with my American twang. You know, you can't do that.
That's pretty good. I like that, actually. That's fair. Plus, I just kind of feel like I'd get called out in 2 seconds for it. Like, you know what? All right. Well, listen, before we get into it here, during the broadcast, you can drop us some stars. That is a digital gift that helps us earn some money for Pop Culture Pros, because that's we are presented by popculturepros.com. So come in and let's get to it, because there's a ton to talk about apparently in comic book TV world here. Starting off with Doom Patrol Season 4, Episode 11. Let's drop down a spoiler warning, because it has been out for less than a week. We'll leave it up there. So all our stuff is here. An episode I enjoyed. I mean, I haven't disliked any of the episodes. I mean, I know we had the one where it was like okay, but this was a deep episode, man.
Yeah, no, this was. And I'll tell you, I was throwing some shade last week because I wasn't crazy about the episode, but this makes up for it. And this actually makes me realize when this show works for me. And when this show works for me is when they are invested in the characters. And this whole episode is an investment in most of the characters, right? It's an investment because we don't see Elastigirl at all, but it's an investment in Negative Man and Cliff, Crazy Jane, and Rouge, right? And Cyborg. So it's these five. And it's literally them wrestling with the thing that is giving them the most internal strife under the guise of getting their longevity from different versions of Niles Calder, which we were talking about if we were getting Timothy Dalton. And boy, do we get Timothy Dalton in this.
Yeah, we get a lot of different versions of Timothy Dalton in this at different points in time. And they're all very different and unique.
Yeah.
They get to deal with the different members of the team that, all have all this anger towards him. For even putting them in now that they really know everything, at least that we're aware of. I mean, I think that everything's fully put on the table in this episode.
No, yeah, I agree. And so the whole thing is they're stuck in the time vortex, and Cyborg has this thing that becomes a ship. Why not? Don't care. Hand wave it. He's new Cyborg. Fuck it. And which kind of Cliff does, right? Cliff is like, wait, you could do this? No, I couldn't. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
So if Cliff is hand waving it, I'm hand waving it. But so then Cyborg's pretty much like, I can sense longevity. There's longevity behind 4 of these portals. So go get some, right? Because their whole thing is they're going to get the longevity so they can come back and save the world and save Elastigirl and make themselves like they were, right? And behind every door is Niles Calder. So I guess it's best to do it by character. And I'm going to start with my favorite, which is Rouge. She has my favorite of these because she goes back to the Hive, which is where she started, which is the place that made her into the person she hates. Sees Niles working on something in his wheelchair, fucking doesn't even talk to him, smacks him over the head, goes to start taking his shit. When she, younger her, walks in, they have an interaction. Rouge realizes, all right, I got to get out of here, turns into a rat, runs out, and young Rouge is out there and catches herself, which was awesome, right? It's like I could tell a shapeshifter. And then they have this pretty much showdown in the hive where Rouge convinces her younger self that she is in fact her older self, and then beats the living shit out of her. Because when she's like, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person." That's younger Rouge. And she goes, "You're not, because I'm still not, and I fucking hate me." And then she's pulled back by the portal. And goddamn, if that that alone wasn't brilliant. Just like Rouge, whose internal struggle this whole season is hating herself, gets to exercise those demons by beating the living shit out of herself.
I agree with everything you're saying. I actually was wondering at one point if she was going to kill the younger version. And I was thinking, oh my God, what are the ramifications of this? And I started bouncing all over thinking, because I'm like, wait, what is the time travel in Doom Patrol? How is it working right now? If she kills her younger self, does she cease to exist? But that all went away when we found out she just gave herself a nice ass whipping.
Yeah. It was really painful to watch because this actress is fucking fantastic. She was for anyone who's a Doctor Who fan, she was the big villain of Peter Capaldi's first year. She was the Master. Phenomenal in that too. But her playing off herself as older Rouge fucking hates herself because she knows exactly who she is and what she's capable of. Even now, right? That's the point. Is she hasn't moved past that. That's still who she is, and she hates that about herself. And the young, idealistic version of herself, who still naively thinks she's the good guy. And watching them play off each other, you forget that I forgot that's the same actress. That's how good that performance was.
It was it was top notch. I guess in some ways that may have been the deepest of these things, but they were all pretty deep. I mean, I guess we could talk about it when we wrap up that part, the segment. But
yeah, they're all very deep, and they all wrestle with the same thing, and it's every one of them has to deal with an internal struggle that they are externalizing on someone else, right? In this instance, Rouge's internal struggle is being externalized on herself. Cliff, well, I guess let's get to Cliff next. Cliff's big internal struggle is he hates himself, which we know. He's always said that. But he's always been really fucking pissed at Niles for what he did. And he goes back to before Niles is even in a wheelchair, back when Niles and Cliff calls him Drunk Merlin, which I love. But the wizard, they're stealing. Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, give me a second. Well, go ahead. I'll pull it up.
Okay. So they're in Nazi Germany actually stealing the Immortus thing, right? That's what they're there for. So it's when he first gets his hands on it, which means he doesn't know anything about it, which means when Cliff is like, I'm here for that. And Niles is like, I can't give this to you. I went through a lot of trouble to get it. And then Nazis show up with electric axes, which is hysterical. I don't know why the fuck they have electric axes, but who cares? And there's a whole thing where, Cliff pretty much fights the electric axe guys. Niles Calder is an awesome moment where these two Nazis walk in, and Cliff is like, you made me with one weakness, electricity. I'm like a brain in liquid in a big metal case. I can't take on two Nazis with electric axes. And fucking Niles Calder, 007 James Bond himself, picks up a knife from the ground, hucks it at one of them, kills them immediately, goes, how about one of them? So Cliff kicks their asses, but in trying to save Niles, he literally throws him over a bar, which essentially breaks his back and is the reason he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And again, this so much to what's his face's acting credit, to Brendan Fraser's acting credit, because you forget that this is just a fucking metal shell with the acting he's doing here, where he's like, no, no, Chief, I can't be the one that put you in the wheelchair. I just broke, holy shit, I broke your back. And he genuinely has remorse and regret. You can tell in this scene where he's helping the chief and they have their whole thing, because there's a thing I'm skipping where they do have a face-off in the beginning and drunk Merlin freezes him and he's like, fuck you, I have
Willoughby.
Parkinson's, this is every day for me. Willoughby, thank you.
Yeah.
And there's, but you can tell, like, he actually forgives Niles here. And then at the end, he's like, well, fuck him. I'm going to take his charm. I'm going to take his, the Immortus chain from him. And Willoughby's like, that's terrible. Like, you're the worst I've ever seen. You leave a man to die, and you take his longevity. And Cliff is like, no, you'll erase his memory, right? And Willoughby's like, memory, he's going to die. And Cliff makes the decision to give him back his longevity, which is symbolic of him genuinely forgiving him for everything that happened. Again, a fucking brilliant and beautiful scene.
Yeah. Willoughby, I mean, he was actually pretty funny through a lot of this scene too. Like this whole little segment. He's always really funny. I mean, with this, but the amount of disgust he has for Cliff in this when he's about to take the longevity is it's like, and he's Willoughby's usually a character who is kind of like, just he'll do whatever the fuck he's got to do. It doesn't really matter. And like, I'm sure he knows, Niles has done some nasty shit at that point, even too. But it's just like, you're still the worst I've ever seen, Cliff. Like, in this very moment right here, Cliff, and just like, it's piling on what Cliff is, because he's piling on with all the shit that Cliff already hates about himself on top of that. So yep. I mean, I think him seeing that is just. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think what's important is, you're right, Willoughby's seen some shit. He knows Niles is not the best of people. He's not the best of people, but he means it when he says you're the worst in that moment. Like, he fucking means it, and Cliff knows he means it. And that's why it's important, because it wasn't him trying to guilt Cliff. It was just him making an observation.
Yeah.
I'll never understand why this isn't John Constantine, unless it's a rights issue.
I don't know, because I still am like amazed that we didn't get Constantine in Doom Patrol or Titans.
Right,
it just seems like everything was set up for it.
Exactly, and this Willoughby is not exactly John Constantine, but it's very John Constantine-esque, especially in the scene when it's like, oh, the Nazis are here and we're done. All right, I'm gonna start drinking. Fuck this. Like, that's a Constantine thing to do. I think we saw him do that in one of the cartoons we reviewed.
Yeah, but I think it was in the Apocalypse War. I think there was a scene where he does something like
that. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so that's the Cliff thing. The cyborg thing is real quick, because it's not that it's unimportant. It's just not as important as the other ones. Like, he, in looking for a way out, connects to the future. And it's kind of hinted at, like, yeah, you're still cyborg, but you're not a superhero anymore. You've started this school, and you're saving people in another way. And so I'm sure that's going to pay off, but I'm very happy for that, because that's a great character arc for this cyborg.
Do you think that the girl that helps him is his daughter? Because I feel like they were hinting at... all right, okay. Because they were hinting at something was bigger with her, but they don't ever go there.
That's exactly what I thought while I was watching it. And then, because his friend is like, can you let me have this one? And then she's like, well, if you, like, she's very familiar with him over the intercom. Like, well, if you want to check my math, go ahead, but it's a waste of time. And then he shows up to future him and is like, I checked the math. So it's like, yeah, 100% that's his fucking daughter.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't the only one here who was like, pretty much felt like that was definitely a thing. I was just waiting for the reveal.
No. Yeah, exactly. That'll be revealed next week, I'm sure, because it's the last episode. So everything will be revealed. All right, so then we'll do Cliff because we got to save Crazy Jane for last because I think she's the most important of these revelations. So then not Cliff. I'm sorry. Negative Man. I always forget his real name.
Why am I blanking for a second, man? Wow. Larry.
Yeah. Nah, Larry. There you go. Oh, I know because it's a boring name. That's it. So sorry to any listeners who are named Larry. I just wanted to cover up the fact my memory's terrible. But so Larry has a very different interaction because he goes back and interacts with like the old host, not Teague, but the host that well, he's the host, but the symbiote he had that
Negative
died.
spirit.
Yeah. The negative spirit. Thank you. And the negative spirit takes over his body, and it's a weird but very nice interaction where it's like, well, this is our child, like because Teague is their child, and they have the moment together, and the whole thing with them is he thinks he's going to launch Larry into the sun and kill him, and that's kind of why they've been both afraid this season. And what the negative spirit pretty much says is, no, you're going to become a new life form. And it's actually it plays much better than I'm like giving it credit for. I think it is a really really cool scene interaction. And again, it settles in Larry what's been bothering him, which is, well, what's going to happen to my child when I'm gone, when I die? But in finding out he's not going to die, he's going to become a new life form, and he will go on. He's put to rest. Like everyone kind of gets put to rest here.
Yeah, because that's
God, which just made me realize it.
What?
Yeah, they're all going to die.
I mean,
I just realized that I was talking about they're all going to die.
I think everyone but Cyborg is probably done. I think he's the only one. I still stand by that. He will go on and join the Justice League and yada yada, like the things that we know of him instead. But I think the actual Doom Patrol.
I agree with that. I agree with you. He's definitely going to live, but it just hit me that we're going to watch all of these motherfuckers die next week. Like, it's next week.
Yeah. Well, not even.
That makes me sad.
Dude, it's actually tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Watch it tomorrow. Yeah.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
all right. So then that made me sad. All right. It is, because I genuinely like these characters. Like, these characters so well written and so well acted. All right. So Crazy Jane finally, and this is a beautiful moment. This is the most beautiful moment in the series. She finally says what she is needed to say. And what she is needed to say is the abuse that happened to the main personality happened to all of us. We all experienced it, and we're all allowed to grieve because of it. Which, by the way, is like what you're trying to do when you're like working through trauma, especially really bad trauma, is you're trying to get to a point where like you release yourself of the guilt of what happened to you, and you embrace the fact that this, is something that happens to every part of your personality. And the fact that they do it here, it's so beautiful the way it's done, because it's her and Niles Calder. And Niles is actually making her the drink. She almost gets her longevity back, because the Niles that she gets is like, all right, yeah, I can shave this off. Like, why aren't you asking me in the future? Oh, I'm dead. Shit, that sucks. I'm your friend. I'm your imperfect friend, but I am your friend. And it's through their conversation that she has her realization before she gets to drink. But the realization unites all of the different like personalities into one, which gives us a great ending to this, where she gives the speech like, you know what, we're gonna go and we're gonna do our best to kill the Were-Asses, stop Immortus, and save Rita, and if we die trying, it's okay. And even Clint is like, wait a minute, Jane is giving the motivational speech? What the fuck? Where are we now? But it's beautiful, right? And you see her eyes glowing, because we also know that. Oh, I don't know if anyone. I mean, we haven't seen it this season, but if you remember, her every one of her alternates has their own power.
Yeah, like Silver Tongue.
If her alternates are all together, yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, like Silver Tongue has like the words that go that like sharp razor words and stuff like that. And yeah, you're right. Like they all have a bunch of different things. But Jane also refers to herself as like the kaleidoscope at that point,
Yes.
where she pretty much has everything. That's when she has the purple eyes going and stuff like that. And you're like, all right, now she's really probably not to be fucked with, because I can imagine in this epic throwdown with the Mortis and the fucking butts next week. I mean, last episode. She's gonna end up having to. My guess is she's gonna be able to use all their powers at different points, and she's gonna be insanely powerful in this final battle.
Agreed. And I think she's going to wind up sacrificing herself, because I do think at this point we lose everyone except for Cyborg. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you in various. Well, I do wonder if Rita. I don't know. We'll see.
That would be interesting if Rita survives because she wasn't there.
Or maybe they don't ever.
If they don't bring her back.
Rita? Yeah. Huh.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point, too.
It's going to be fucked up. It's going to be fucked up, and I think it's definitely going to be. I think they're going to. I really feel good about them sticking the landing on this. But I think it's definitely going to be tugging at a lot of heartstrings for fans like us who have watched every single episode. It's going to be a sad ending.
I agree. I'm gonna be sad to see this go. I really am. This is one of the, and I'll save my eulogy till next week. But this really is one of the most unique superhero things, like not just television shows, but superhero things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know what to expect going into Doom Patrol 100%, but this, it's yeah, you're right. There's, I don't know. I don't think there is anything like it. It's extremely unique.
Yeah.
It's
funny because a friend of mine,
Rick tried to call it schlock.
Yeah, well, he did actually apologize after watching this episode. Rick texted us, I take it all back. This was a great episode.
I'm sorry, your friend? What were you saying?
It's funny, my friend friend of the show, John Rice, he last time was hanging out, he's like, I need your professional opinion. So I'm like, I think he's going to ask me about teaching or English or something like that. He's like, should I start Doom Patrol or should I start the Legends of Tomorrow? He's like, because both of them seem right up my alley, but which should I start? And I had to think, and I was like, you got to go Doom Patrol, because Legends of Tomorrow, you got at least 2 seasons to get through before it gets really where you want it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you got to go Doom Patrol. If you like Doom Patrol, just slog through that first season or 2 of Legends and keep going, and you'll love it. But that's the only comparable thing that I can think of to Doom Patrol is Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I can agree with that. You can say this is somewhat of the R-rated kind of what Legends was trying to do, but still very, very different, though.
Yeah, no, like very different, but I think similar. A ragtag bunch with, it's like, it's one of those things where no one's really paying attention because it's not the Justice League. So we're going to have a Bollywood episode or a musical episode. We're going to be shrunk down for half a season. Like, they were able to take crazy chances because they were not like a center group.
Yeah. And the Doom Patrol is like the Z-list group.
Yeah. Love them.
All right. So that does it for Doom Patrol. And yeah, dying to see what happens with this final episode. I thought they were getting 2 more, but then when I saw the trailer for next week or whatever tomorrow's episode, because it does drop tomorrow, that I'm like, holy shit, this is it. It's actually ending. And I got sad for a minute. I was like, shit, it sucks.
Yeah. You're going to get texts from me when I watch this. I probably won't watch it tomorrow, but you'll get texts from me when I watch it about how depressed I am to watch the show go.
I have no doubt about it. All right, so we got one ending and wrapping up. We do have another show, Invincible, Season 2, Episode 1, that is just kicking off its second season. I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, granted, it's going into a place that is the comic book thing at this moment. Like The Boys / Gen V is the only one that hasn't gone there yet. The whole multiverse concept, but this was pretty interesting.
I agree, and I remember when I first watched the first episode of Invincible, I hated it, and then I was lukewarm about it until the end of the first season. I watched this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think what it's setting up is a very interesting and I think new take on the multiverse, to be honest with you. And I mean, let's go through it. There are 2 plot points. This isn't super complicated to get through. I don't think this is going to be a huge conversation, but there are 2 major plot points here, and they all converge at the end. All right, and they all have to do with the fallout of Omni-Man and Invincible's fight at the end of the last season. We flash forward a couple months. Omni-Man is gone. Everyone knows what had happened. Invincible himself everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows what he's done. He really, really, really wants to go out and prove himself and fight with like the sanctioned superhero team. I forget what the fake Justice League is called in this.
It's the Guardians of the Globe.
That's it. Not to be confused with the Guardians of Godolphin, but we'll get to that. But so they've got their Guardians of the Globe, which they set up last year with the multitude of insane characters. One of which I forget any of their names, but the guy who's voiced by Jason Mantzoukas is hysterical, which is like the really out there, obnoxious, horny one.
Rexplode.
That's it. Yeah, Rexplode. And so, like, pretty much, they are trying to do what they have to do without having an Invincible-like person on their team, which is hard. And Invincible wants to get on the team, but the government guy with the scar, who was pretty much Omni-Man's handler, who blames himself for what happened, is not putting him in play because he doesn't want to, like, make the same mistake again. Double that with the fact that they've got the 1,000-year man, Centennial Man, the guy who's been around forever.
Immortal.
Thank you. I should have fucking remembered that. I'm disappointed in myself. But
who's voiced
so
by
the
Ross
Immortal
Martin.
is it really?
Yeah, that's who voices him. Who can do an impression of just about anything. I don't know if you've ever seen his impression videos, but
wild.
You should definitely check it out. He does a great Christopher Walken also.
Oh yeah, I definitely gonna check that out. Yeah, so he is pretty much like the trainer of the team. He doesn't want Invincible around, but it becomes clear at some point that they're gonna need like an Invincible person, an Omni-Man person to step in. The guy with the scar gives them the okay to go and retrieve some tech that the Maulards had stolen, right? Maulards, that's the Molars.
The Molars,
Damn, I remember.
Yeah, those guys crack me the fuck up.
Fucking love those guys. Even now, you're the clone. No, you're the clone. I love it. So that leads us into the B plot of this. So the opening of this, and I hid this, I buried the lead. The opening of this episode, which I had to go back and rewatch, was Omni-Man and Invincible going, hey, Invincible pretty much going, hey guys, I know that you think we're the bad guys for taking over Earth and killing half of y'all, but that was your fault. You got to listen to Omni-Man. I didn't agree with him first either, but this is the best for you. And we pretty much see Omni-Man and Invincible dominate the Earth and take over for the empire that Omni-Man has been sent here by. And then we find out this is the multiverse. And we see one of the freedom fighters taken in by a portal. And we find out later that that is one of many across the multiverse who, in our universe, is this brilliant scientist studying the multiverse who has decided that the only real way to understand everything is to bring all of his multiverse compatriots together and read their minds and have their thoughts. And I'm going to say this. I have never felt more kinship to a villain ever than I did in this guy. Because this is it. I always say, what would I do if I were a villain? What would I do? This is it. This is it. I would literally get every single pathetic from the multiverse, and I would rip the memories from their fucking minds so I could understand everything. I love this guy.
The Council of Jasons.
Yeah, that's right. The Council of Jasons. And this is very clearly, very clearly Kang, right? Because, in a way, very clearly Kang-coded. Because whereas, I don't think the council of this guy is going to be the villain. What we get at the end, so he releases the Maulers, sends them to get shit for him. Very chill guy, and they threaten him, and he's like, hey, you don't do for me, but I could just leave you here in the middle of nowhere. I could pull you in a portal. I could pretty much do what I want to you, but hey, I'm not violent. You just do what you want to do, which I love. That's something I would do as a villain. Gets the Maulers on this to do his bidding, and that is why Invincible has to come, because they pretty much he frees them, and then they go and rob some high-tech place to build this machine that allows him to read the thoughts of all of his alters. Invincible comes, irony of all ironies, he wants to stop this guy. This guy brings in the Maulers from all the other universes. They're all twins. They all have a fucking clone, which I love. And they proceed to almost kill Invincible, which, I almost want to say the 616 villain, but it's not because it's Invincible. But our villain pretty much goes, no, I can't let you hurt anyone of my name, takes the helmet off, fucking wipes out all of the Maulers except for our two, I believe. Although I think they say he sends them to another dimension. He's in another dimension, and this thing has literally given him the memories of every single one of his dimensional clones. And he's just like, Invincible, I have to kill him. He's the one who destroyed everything. And he's not mad about what Invincible did to him. He's mad about the Invincibles from the other multiverses, because he actually says in the beginning, it's funny, ours is one of 6 multiverses where Invincible doesn't side with Omni-Man. And so, this is our big villain of the season set up right away. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was really. I kind of caught onto the multiverse thing pretty quickly in the beginning, because obviously we saw how last season ended, and I'm like, all right, so obviously there's something weird's going on here. It's a multiverse thing, or it's a fucking dream, one or the other. I was wondering maybe.
I thought it was a dream, to be honest.
Yeah, because we know Mark was going to have this guilt about not wanting to be his father, and that's what they were playing on. But yeah, the multiverse thing, had jumped into effect, and I'm just curious to know, if we're going to see other versions of the other multiverse, and Omni-Man and Invincible as well.
I hope so, and I think that's the smart thing to do, right? And this show is smart, and the comic is smart. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get like an episode or two with this guy like fighting our Invincible, but at some point, our Invincible is in the multiverse where him and Omni-Man took over. And of course that's going to happen because then he has to face Omni-Man.
Yeah, like again and again and again. Or I think he also
Right.
might have to face other versions of himself. And I think they're going to often play on the concept of him having to deal with this fear of becoming his father over and over again.
Yep. And I think that's why I think this is intelligently done with the multiverse, because it's not just saying, it's clearly not saying, hey, multiverse, that's the ticket, that's money. It's saying, let's play with this. Let's do something interesting with this. Let's explore some characters with this. And I do believe that's what they're going to be doing, as you said, like him having to face Omni-Man himself, and really he's just facing his inner demons and his inner fears about becoming his dad.
Yeah, and in turn, also, I can see, we'll call it the main universe, Invincible, having to face, Adam Eve at various points too, because in this we see one of the evil versions kills that Adam Eve, and my guess is that the other Adam Eves will think that this is the evil one, and he'll have to face off against her because he's also still dealing with shit with her as well. That's what I'm guessing we're going to see throughout the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm sure, like, because his mother was very prominent, we didn't really talk about her, but she's also dealing with the emotional fallout of her husband calling her a pet and leaving, and trying to destroy her planet. And I actually, it's a cool scene with their version of Scarlet, not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. And I don't remember what her name in this, but it's clearly Black Widow, Russian agent. And she comes home and Black Widow's like, I'm cooking for you. It's like, oh, I thought you were here to kill me. It's like, no, why would I do that? But, obviously, because Omni-Man killed all of her friends and her boyfriend or her fiance. But I love that they forge a relationship based on, he lied to me too. And so because of that, I would not be surprised if there is a multiverse where his mother is a superhero or a supervillain or something that he has to face off against.
That would be pretty cool. I didn't think of that one. I did not think of that one. That's pretty cool. So we're basically we are acknowledging there's going to be a lot we're hyped up for. Now I think this season's going to have a lot to live up to now for our expectations that we're setting up right off the first episode.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I'll tell you something though. Like, I think it'll do it because, and again, I am someone who did not like this show. I hated that first episode. I still hate that first episode, but this show has proven itself to be well written and really thoughtful with its characters, and really willing to take interesting chances. So, even if we don't get what we're saying here, I would be surprised if by the end of this season we're disappointed.
Yeah, I could agree. All right, so then that will take us to the other Amazon Prime, video superhero show. At the time, Gen V Episode 8, the Season 1 finale, because we, as I mentioned, that news broke a couple weeks ago, that Gen V has been picked up for a second season, so we're definitely not going to...
right.
Yeah, I'll read off some stuff, because the boys actually put out formerly known as a tweet, a post on X talking about where season 4 connects to Gen V. So, but we'll hold off on that for a second. So, this episode opens up with, like, my God, the vibes that I get from Kate, the Magneto vibes are insane. Like, it's just...
Yep.
Yeah, and Sam unfortunately becomes what I believe is like her Juggernaut to her Magneto. Then if you want to call it that,
I could see that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Basically, the muscle on getting this whole, we're superior thing, to the humans, and that we need to, fight for our kind. So, her whole thing is Sam ends up siding with her. And basically their thing is we're going to free the woods. We're going to free these kids, and we're going to go ahead and start showing them who's in charge around here. And then you got Marie, and also Emma and everything, and Justin, who are Jordan, who are looking at this like, listen, you free these kids, they're going to be fucking damaged. Like, shit's going to really go down. Plus, with you guys, riling them up and getting them all, like, activated, if you want to say, this is going to cause a whole thing. And they were 100% right, because that's basically what ends up happening. There's a whole throwdown on the Godolkin campus between these characters that are freed, these kids that are freed that have been experimented on, and they're basically just murdering everyone who's not a suit throughout in the most brutal ways possibly imaginable.
Yeah, like they lose all sympathy or empathy you have from them is lost when they just start wholesale murdering people, like innocent people, as innocent as you get in this universe. But because I'll be honest with you, I was on Team Magneto on this up until the people they freed. I was, because here's the thing: if you're imprisoning people because of who they are and experimenting on them and using them to try to create a virus to kill off the people who are like them, yeah, no, I don't mind if you kill those people doing that. I really don't. Like when what's her face makes the guy she's like, you're a monster, eat your fingers. It's like, I wouldn't do that. That's unnecessary, but I don't feel bad for him. The guy is a monster.
Oh no, I'm not. And then also the other guard that gets killed when they first enter the woods, when it's Kate and Sam punches a fucking hole right through his protective helmet into his face. No, these dudes are fucking douchebags. I'm not, but I think that's always what the whole thing is, right? Is like, these are villains that you can kind of see where you would sympathize for them having the right idea, but then of course they cross the line eventually with when it turns into genocide, like we had mentioned. That's usually when you
yes. Right, exactly. And I'll be honest with you again. I was on these kids' side up until they just went to the campus and started killing people. Because I get that you're angry. Find the people who did this to you and kill them. Don't just go, are you a soup? Oh no, I'm an adjunct here. I just got this job. I make like fucking $10 a class. Oh no, I'm gonna murder you in a horrific way. Not cool.
No, and the guy you're talking about ends up frying some guy in his face. No, this woman by her face, and then you got other people who are, you got the guy who was kind of like was undercover with Vought that's there, who apparently has protective devices to deal with soups. He has that like puck thing that happens, but then Kate ends up making him eat it eventually, and pops his fucking head off on a live stream on TV. So she's trying to like promote the fucking thing.
That was so brutal. But I got to admit, I love that moment where he's like, hey, yo, this is your boy doing his thing. And then like one of these soups comes and he's like, oh, you should have stayed at the woods. And he presses that button and neutralizes her. As much as I didn't agree with him, I thought that was super cool. Like just the way he does it. And then, yeah, when Kate makes him eat his own pet, oh my God, his head blows up. This is a brutal, like a very like gory episode.
Yeah, and they actually put up a disclaimer in the beginning that says that there's going to be like a lot of violence on a campus, and a school campus situation here. They had to put up that disclaimer. That's when you knew shit was really going to hit the fan in this episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is an allegory for a school shooting.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, that's what it is. This show is really good at social commentary in a way that doesn't offend people who are okay with things like school shootings, which there are people who are okay with that. even passively, just, I'd rather have my rights than children live. Uh, but this does it very smartly because it doesn't alienate anyone, but it still makes its point. And that's the point is like, yeah, this is bad, right? Like you come on a school with powers, with an intent, this cannot end well.
No. I think one of the very interesting things that happens though during this whole thing, we mentioned Kate and Sam earlier. They're kind of going side by side with this, but as Sam is going along with this, he begins to start having regrets after he has this conversation with Emma, and he fucking lays into her, like really lays into her, and like really does it says the most harsh things to her, whether he truly meant them
Not
or
fair,
not.
not cool.
Yeah, like, and because she was just trying to, she stops him from murdering the guy who's like the Zack Snyder of this, like who directed Dawn of the Seven and stuff, who's teaching at God U at that point. Sam goes in, tries to basically murder him. Emma drops in, kind of diffuses that situation. They have this heartbreaking conversation where Sam is like, you weren't really trying to free me, for anything else. You'll just do anything for people to like you and all this other shit. And they really have a falling out there. But you can tell that it stays with Sam because Sam is like, starts having these visions of Luke. But the visions of Luke are telling him to stop what you're doing. You're murdering innocent people. Don't trust Kate. And then he lays it to him. He's like, dude, I am just your imaginary version of me telling you this. So basically spelling it out for a dude, you know what you're doing is wrong. You don't want to be a part of it. And he ends up going to Kate and telling her that. And she makes him forget and feel nothing. She takes away his feelings, any kind of remorse he has about what he's doing, and numbs him to basically become a fucking killing machine, which when you really think about it, kind of just turns him into the Terminator, essentially. And that's a scary thought.
Oh yeah, because he's super powerful. You can't stop him. I mean, I'm sure there are soups you can, but not our soups in this show anyway.
No, not that. I mean, we'll get to the one who possibly could in a second, but
oh yeah, that dude's
it's a wild thing. But one who does go toe to toe with him at one point is Andre. And in the beginning of the episode, we find out that Andre is, his father's in the hospital, Polarity, who was at, like, I think it looks like it's Vought Tower that they're in a hospital bed, and they're talking, and his doctor explains to Andre, like, dude, your father, his brain, he's basically going through like a brain tumors and stuff, and he's dying because every time he uses his power, it starts fucking him up. We can try to do a cocktail or some kind of physical therapy to slow down the process, but we can't reverse it. And the doctor's also spelling it out for Andre, like, this is happening to you also. So you need to chill out.
Yeah.
And when Andre goes to talk to his father is like, knows that the end is near and wants his Polarity suit retrofitted for his son because he wants him to take up the mantle. But Andre tries to tell his father, like, this is going to kill me. Like, we can't use our powers anymore. And his father's just like, I had to do what I had to do to provide for my family, to protect you guys. Just do whatever the fucking Vought tells you to do, and that's it. And that's in its own right also a really sad moment, also, that his father's setting him up for.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it really does. It kind of touches on, like, legacy and living up to your parents, which we talked about, like this Andre is kind of going through. You got to live up to this, and like in this story, like literally living up to your father and living up to your father's expectations is going to kill you. And I think it's super interesting because he doesn't stop using his powers,
Well, I think, he doesn't stop using them, but I think in the moment he uses them, at least that we see here, he has no choice because he sees there's insanity going on.
Yeah.
And I think I looked at it more in terms of he was willing to sacrifice himself to try to save others because he was well aware of what he know the implications of him using his powers are at that point.
But I think that's going to be the distinction because his father was willing to sacrifice himself to provide for his family and do what he felt he needed to do and kowtow to Vought because that got him what he needed. Andre, I think, is going to use his powers, but for something different, for something that he believes in. But I do think that if this show goes on long enough, we are going to be dealing with Andre's, what's going on in his brain. That's the same thing that's going on with his dad.
Yeah, I do think there's some foreshadowing there. So another thing that I didn't mention with the conversation with Sam and Emma is it's such an emotional conversation. She ends up shrinking down without vomiting all over the place and everything. I think that was the setup. So because it doesn't get touched on in the episode again, but I think it's setting up that she's going to find other ways to use her power besides puking and eating.
Yeah. Agreed. Like maybe stress or whatever. Like she's finding other ways to trigger it.
Yeah, which is nice that she doesn't have to start vomiting or stuffing her face to get big or small at some point.
For sure.
All right, so yeah, we had mentioned some other stuff, but Ashley from Vought, she's on campus. She gets called in. She's trying to find Shetty the entire episode, but then when shit starts hitting the fan, and the kids that were broken out of the woods are rampaging and stuff, she hides in Shetty's panic room, and at some point is like, listen, she gets one of her assistants, call Homelander, get the helicopter here. We need to get the fuck out of here. Like this is insane. And that the helicopter we see show up and then gets, grounded by someone in their powers. And there's a fight that's going on here. And Ashley also puts out basically a fucking bounty on their heads saying, listen, whoever can kill these soups, they'll get like an automatic bid to the 7 or some shit like that. Like she's throwing out anything. And she actually calls Marie on the phone and says, we've been looking at you and things like that. Like, can you fucking save us? Just kill whoever the hell is out there. And she offers her a meeting with her sister as well to sweeten the pot here. And I thought that, and you can tell Marie starts thinking about it for a second. And then that's what causes, basically our heroes and say Marie and Jordan to get involved in this fight. We get a fight between Maverick, who is finally confirmed that Maverick, the invisible horny dude, is this dude's son, who was early on in The Boys, who's dead now too.
Yeah.
And then we get Sam versus Andre, because Andre shows up to save, and then he takes some pretty big shots from Sam. Like crazy shots.
He does.
That kind of just lets you know how powerful Andre really is. When going toe to toe, because everyone else gets their head fucking busted open by Sam, or they just explode and turn to sauce.
Yeah, no, but he absolutely holds his own against him, and I think that they do two things. They show us in this fight how powerful Sam is and how powerful, God, who's Blood Girl? What's her name?
Marie.
Yeah, thank you. How powerful Marie is. And you'll get to it, but they both have moments where, he takes shit from Sam that no one else could have taken. Yeah. And she takes something from someone that other people couldn't have taken either. So I think it's really interesting that they kind of parallel that.
Yeah, we start getting to know how powerful these characters truly are. So let's get to that. While that whole thing is going on, Kate is there. She tries to touch Jordan as well, to try to take him over. And Marie sees this and blows half of her fucking arm off in result of that, of just trying to stop. So she's still finding her powers, but still not in full control of it. But then the Vought cavalry arrives in Homelander, and I thought it's so interesting his arrival because they play this like superhero type theme, save the day thing,
Mhm.
but it's also like rewound and backwards and distorted, and it's just
That's a good point.
it's
Yeah, that's what Homelander is, right? A rewound, distorted
yeah.
version of Superman.
Yeah, so there's that, and I just got that feeling again. I know when we talked about The Boys, like I mentioned this all the time, but every fucking time he's on the screen, I have this uneasiness,
Yeah.
right? Like just because he's just out of fucking control and he's such a piece of shit.
And it's just his smile, like the actor is so good because
Yeah,
his like smile, and he's so good at conveying that it's a fake smile holding back intense rage.
yeah.
And he comes down, and this really surprised me because like he looks at Marie, and Marie's like, Mr. Homelander's like, what kind of animal are you? And she's like, what? And he's like, you attack your own kind, and he fucking blasts her.
He fucking lasers her, and then the screen goes blank. And then you're like, wait, did he just fucking kill her? Like,
that's what I thought.
What?
That's what I thought. I thought because this is a boys thing. I was like, wait a minute, did you just kill her? And because then the next thing we see is the new Guardians of Godolphin, right? Which is Sam and
Sam and
why
Kate.
can't I remember? Thank you, Kate. I couldn't remember her name. Sam and Kate. And I'm like, wait, did you just kill our main character? And now you're going to replace him with these guys next season? Because I could see you doing that, boy. Like the boys universe.
Yeah, and I think that's great that we're on edge constantly, that we, it's hard to know what the hell's going to happen. But the thing is, they wake up and they're in a room with no doors. And it's Marie, it's Emma, it's Andre, and it's Jordan. And yeah, like you mentioned, basically Vought framed this whole thing. There's no mention of Homelander in the TV report we see. And it just looks like Kate and Sam saved Godolphin from this murder spree that these four went on. And you're like, holy shit. And that's where it technically ends at that point.
Yeah.
But then we get a mid-credit scene where Butcher shows up, but he finds the woods because he knows about the virus now.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. Like if Butcher were to get his hands on this virus, I mean, boy, that's just, the gloves are off. I mean, if they weren't already between Homelander and Butcher, wow.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Butcher doesn't necessarily want to kill all Supes. Butcher would gladly kill all Supes if it meant Homelander's death.
Yeah, his main target is Homelander.
Yes.
Even though he thinks all Supes are pieces of shit. But
right.
As long as he gets Homelander, that's his main thing.
Yeah. Homelander's the guy. But I think it's important. He's not genocidal. He just doesn't care as long as it takes out. Like, he'll take out the entirety of the Supes to get this one guy.
Yep. It's just, he's just that locked in on him. So that post/tweet that was on X that the boys put out, I'll read it here. While y'all wait for 2024, here's what we can say about season 4 so far. So they didn't give a full release date, but we know it's coming probably in early 2024. Timeline-wise, season 4 of The Boys takes place a month after the events of the Gen V finale. So it's going to pick up right away. Okay. Butcher knows about the virus. Do what little piece of intel you will with that. So that's what I'm like, oh, okay. Homelander will stand trial for lasering a Starlighter's head off. Vought even made a hashtag for the occasion hashtag home free. And then the events of season 4 will lead into Gen V season 2.
Okay, that's cool. They're married like that. I like that.
Yeah. And it's funny because the last part is, do you need to watch both shows to understand one or the other? No. Should you? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, 100%. Here's a question now, Ed. A question I think we need to discuss.
Okay.
Why does Homelander land and immediately think Marie is the problem and blast her?
Well, I think I'm assuming he saw what she did to Kate.
True, but like he was called there
Yeah.
to stop rogue soups.
Hmm.
He shows up and he sees one soup fighting another. And yeah, one soup blew off the other's hand. Yeah, okay, she's winning, but she's also protecting everyone in that helicopter. That's clear too. So
Yeah.
like, why does he target her? Like, is it because it's like they're setting up that he doesn't give a shit about human life anymore? And if that's the case, then why does Vought cover for him? Why does Vought like cover up what he did there in particular? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I think that's a very, very fair point to bring up, right? But so you wonder what was Homelander told before he showed up exactly, right? Like, are we ever going to find out what that exactly was? Is season 4 of The Boys going to get into that? Because, like they had mentioned in their tweet, that Homelander's standing trial, but it sounds like Vought is sticking up for him. But you're right. Now, are they just going to continue because he's the moneymaker and that's it? He's their golden goose. So they'll just sell their souls to get to it. Is just letting you know how evil Vought really is. Are they still truly the most evil thing in the Boys universe? Is it Vought still?
I mean, it probably is.
Right?
And I am curious too, because I know this show is really good at social commentary. If part of the reason he didn't turn on them was because he was faced with a black superhero and a gender fluid superhero up against two very white cisgender superheroes. And I don't think I'm reading too much into this. I think like this show is very careful with how it like portrays these things. And they've set up Homelander in a way that portrays him at the end of the last episode of The Boys, where he murders someone at a rally, a Homelander rally. They've set him up in a very specific light, mimicking people in real life who hold racist ideologies. So I'm curious if this is going to come and play in what's going on in the next season, which is why I'm bringing it up. Like, if this is like, did he come and go, not a white superhero, not a white superhero, you attack them, you obviously are the issue, and then Vought covered it up, but then it's going to be a thing like, no, Homelander is also kind of racist. Like, that's my question. Is it going there?
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Because everyone, all out of the 4 who were imprisoned, the only straight white one of them is Cricket.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a fair question.
And I can't. The show is the Boys writers and this show. When I say the Boys, I mean both of these shows now because they're very married. It's like when I say Buffy, I mean Buffy and Angel.
Mm-hmm.
The writers are smart and they very clearly are doing things strategically. So I would not be surprised if that was something they did strategically to set up something in the next Boys season.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly definitely on the table, or we somehow, some way, find out what he was instructed to go for, which I'm trying to just imagine. Yeah, because Ashley called for him to get there.
And they were protecting Ashley, so I can't imagine she went, "Hey, come down and kill the two people protecting the helicopter." Like, I didn't get the sense that Ashley was trying to screw over
Marie, yeah.
Marie. I genuinely think in Ashley's mind, anyone who saves me gets into the 7.
Oh no,
I
she
really,
was 100%. Yeah, and the idea that Marie's powers are as powerful as she is, she didn't. Yeah, that didn't matter.
she's someone you want the 7. But I like, and maybe now that you say that, maybe it's a thing that Homelander just recognizes how powerful she is. Maybe that's it. But like, I don't think Homelander was given something that he misunderstood the situation. I think if Homelander misunderstood the situation, it's got to be something intrinsic in him, which is going to come out in the story in that next season.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait to see season 4 of The Boys, I guess, to find out what happens next. Let's get to 2 quick comments from Rick, who was here. Homelander will have to kill his dad, as in Soldier Boy?
Man, I'd rather Soldier Boy kill Homelander, man. I hate Homelander, man. I really do.
Which tells you Anthony Starr is fucking crushing it then in this role, because we both are uneasy and hate him so much, and he's the Superman figure. They're doing a phenomenal job.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, I actually I'm going to mention something about Anthony Starr in a second, because I was on my flight home from Germany yesterday. One of the movies I watched was Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which awesome movie. I would highly recommend it, to check that out. Anthony Starr is in it. And he is actually, you wouldn't notice him because, again, we think of him blonde hair, blue eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's got like a hat on and a beard, and, he's got dark hair and stuff. But because of who he is on this show and how I know of him, I kept waiting for him to fucking turn on our main character in that. And whenever he doesn't. And there's nothing in the movie to tell you that he'll do that he's that type of guy. But because of this damn show and his portrayal on his show, I was like, this motherfucker is gonna screw him over.
It's actually, it's like Last Action Hero, right? Oh, you killed Mozart. I don't trust you.
Exactly. I'm like, wait, you fucking laser-eyed Marie yesterday, son of a bitch. No. And then Rick's also saying, actually, everyone, Homelander will be Negan. No.
I didn't make it that far in The Walking Dead to know.
Rick, I would like to know more about the context of that, but like, Jason, for the short version is Negan actually has somewhat of a redemption arc later in The Walking Dead. Not like a full-on redemption arc, but
right.
There's something of that. I don't see him. No. If that's what you're saying, no.
Didn't they do the same thing with the governor? Like, didn't they always do that with their villains? Like, because the governor had a redemption arc in that. I got that far.
Yeah, but Negan, I also think Negan did worse than the governor ever did. And
well, Negan killed my favorite character in the show, so fuck him.
Who is ironically voicing Invincible now. It's all come back around.
Wait, Glenn is voicing Invincible?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, Robert Kirkman, man, does not forget his people over there.
Oh shit, I didn't even realize that. Good on Glenn, man. I like that actor a lot.
There you go. It was a happy ending to the Glenn story right there. All right. So then that kind of, I guess, will bring us up to Loki Season 2, Episode 5, another second to last episode of a season, because we have no idea if there's going to be a Loki Season 3 just yet. I think we'll maybe find that information over the weekend. But, let me just switch my notes quick, and boom. So, Loki, time slipping again after the temporal loom blew up last week. And he is really, really time slipping from now on.
Whew. Time and space, man. He's all over all over the timelines, right? Like
Yes.
it's not just time. Like he's literally visiting the time, like the lives of all the TVA on the timeline.
He is basically omnipresent at this point.
Yeah, he is.
Um, so yeah, that's virtually the short version of the beginning. Loki's time slipping again, sees himself even within another half of a scene that's happening. So he's really there, but he ends up thinking, like, realizing that, my God, everyone's gone. All my friends are gone, and he time slips to find them on the, like Jason mentioned, on branch timelines. And first he runs into Casey, who's being referred to as Frank, who's escaping Alcatraz.
Did not see that coming.
No, I didn't. In 1962, he's there when Loki pops up, and he's just, we see him there. He has no memory of who the hell Loki is. He's even insisting, my name is Frank. This isn't like a game he's playing or anything like that. But that's where Casey was plucked from by He Who Remains, right? Like, that's where we find out. And that's what the theme of this is that we find out the origins of where everyone was plucked from. Secondly, we jump to Loki. We'll just jump around with Loki time slipping to 2012 in New York City, which is around the time of the Battle of New York in Avengers. So I do wonder if there was some connection. They don't make us say it outright.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, but it wasn't just a coincidence that they picked 2012 and New York City there, which is ironic because that's where this Loki may have been just trying to take over the fucking planet. So I thought that was interesting. I kind of wanted them to go into that a little bit more, but they kind of left that part alone. And that's where it's B12. Hunter B12 is there, and she is a doctor at that point, and she's helping, this young girl and stuff like that, who looks like she was injured doing something and stuff like that. Again, I'm jumping to conclusion that it had to do with the Battle of New York. So I think that's fair to say. And then we get another jumping around point to 2022 in Ohio, where he sees Mobius. But the introduction is Mobius is on this jet ski. And he's
I love it.
And we finally get to see Mobius on a jet ski that he's been talking about for 2 seasons now. More last season than this one. But we find that he's a jet ski salesman, and he's a single dad whose wife passed on and has 2 kids. And that's where he was plucked from the timeline. And so it's... The Casey thing isn't really sad, but the other 2 are more sad, I think. The Casey thing was interesting because Casey that we knew, or that we know, is such a nice, quiet guy, timid guy, but now he's fucking escaping Alcatraz.
Yeah, which I think is awesome. And I saw something online where I think that was supposed to be like an actual person, like someone who escaped Alcatraz, right?
Yes, and it was interesting too because in season 1, Loki, calls himself what's his face?
DB Cooper.
Yeah, DB Cooper. So I thought that's kind of interesting that that's like a theme that's going on through the show. But then Loki and us, we will jump to 1994, Pasadena, where we meet Obi, who is a sci-fi author who can't really sell any books.
I love it so much. I'm Obi, guys. I'm Obi. Loki, come take me.
But apparently he has a PhD in physics. Because when Loki hears that he's an author, he's like, oh, God, I'm screwed. Then he's like, wait, you have a PhD in physics? You can kind of maybe help me out here. And they have this conversation where there's a lot of, for more or less, scientific jargon that's going on. He's explaining his time-slipping situation. But Obi is like, we'll just call him Obi because I forgot his real name at the moment in the timeline. He's explaining to him, that you kind of got to start controlling this thing. And it's kind of like, that's the key to this thing that's here. And you don't need this like temp pad. You are the temp pad in a way. You're able to hop in and out and everything. But Loki knows he needs, they come up with this concept where his friends all have temporal auras. And they need to get them all together to kind of be able to go back to the moment where the temporal loom exploded, right? So that's where this whole adventure, the episode takes us, is where he's trying to round up the crew because he thinks that's what they're needed, but he also needs a temp pad to get them to come with him. He can't just touch them and bring them through. So he gives this version of Obi the TVA guidebook that he gets earlier Loki grabs earlier in the episode at the TVA, and he gives it to him, and we find out it takes him, what was it, 19 months to build the temp pad?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Up. Yeah, he shows up and meets Loki speaking to Mobius again on the timeline because he goes back to him and is trying to convince him, hey, you got to come with me, this and that. You got to basically save existence. And he's like, listen, what about my kids? What about this? What about that? But he shows him that he'll just jump back at any point in time. So it'll be like he never left. And also, you're doing this to save your kids. It's 18 months, I wrote down. So not 19 months, 18 months. But then Loki gathers everyone, right? He goes back, he gets, he gets Casey, he gets B12, he's got Mobius. They're all there meeting up, they're all chatting and stuff like that. And then he realizes he needs one more. He goes to get Sylvie.
Oh, this is my favorite, actually. Can I tell this one?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because he shows up and like it's been this whole thing of like, all right, you don't know who I am, but this and that, and no one believes him. And he shows up to the McDonald's in the 80s, and he's like, okay, so I know you don't know who I am, and so he's like, Loki, no, I know who you are. I could not. I laughed so hard at that. Like, no, dude. I know exactly. We're Loki. Remember, I know you.
Yeah, you can save the spiel. I got it. But then they talk and they just like, hey, listen. Sylvie's like, listen, I think you need a drink. They go to a bar to talk and they have a deep conversation. But there's also a Zaniac arcade game that's there. So I thought that was actually pretty damn funny.
That was.
And Loki discussion here is because Loki is telling Sylvie, like, man, you don't want to come back and save it because you're getting what you wanted, right? You got your home here. TVA is destroyed. What do you give a shit? Like what's going on here? He's telling her that she's selfish, but she starts diving into him. Why do you want the TVA back? Like, what is this really a whole thing about? He's hitting her with the saving everyone and this and that and, like the heroic things until she gets him to reveal, I just want my friends back because if there's no TVA, I don't have my friends and I don't want to be alone. I thought that was pretty damn deep, man.
Yeah, I love that because, again, this is Loki, right? This is the fucking god of mischief. This was the big villain of Avengers. And now he's just like, no, I don't want to be alone. I want my friends back. And I think it really does harken back to the character of Loki, even from Thor 1, because what has Loki's thing always been? He's an outsider, right? Like, what devastates him? When he finds out that he was adopted, that he was not actually Odin's son, and that he was, like, part of the enemy. He was the outsider, and he realized, well, that's why I was never really trusted with certain things. The TVA is the first time in any Loki's life, ours or this one, where he has made friends and been accepted and ingratiated and has made a difference, and he doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah, and she throws it back on him like, well, now who's selfish? You want to do this whole thing. You want to pluck your friends from their original places where they were never given a choice by He Who Remains to go do this, right? To go do this whole TVA thing because he wiped all their memories. But you're also saying that they shouldn't have their own lives that they actually had because you want your friends and that's it. You just want to not be alone. And it's an interesting dilemma that's thrown out here, right? Because Sylvie's like, they should just stay home, man. But then Loki flips it back on her, saying, well, now that they are the TVA, and Mobius says that he was very happy there, they were also never given a chance this time to decide if they want to stay or not. So,
yeah,
both of them were right. And for me, they were both right in this scenario.
Absolutely, because it sets up like, well, all right, free will, right? But if neither side has free will, then it's not right. It might not have been right in the beginning to pluck them out and give them these new lives as Mobius and B12 or whatever, but it was done. And they have a consciousness that is outside of where they were plucked from. And I don't even know how you reconcile that. But yeah, they're both right. Like, yeah, both are people. Both are individuals that should have a choice, and neither one did.
Yeah. So Sylvie decides, she breaks out. She goes to this record store. She's kicking back, listening to. I actually was not familiar with the song off the top of my head. Did it jump out at you or not really?
No, I don't. I don't remember it, so I couldn't have been that memorable. I
Yeah, that's
couldn't have
fine.
remembered it.
So, but
Yeah.
while she's listening to it, though, the whole store starts basically. I'll just use the term, not dusted, but turned to spaghetti. The whole timeline starts disintegrating, and she sees it happening, and she goes ahead and jumps through a time door. She uses hers to get back to the TVA. She's like, "Listen, this whole thing's going to shit, So maybe we do need to go ahead and to save everybody here, but before they can gather everyone, because they're still trying to say, Loki's like, well, listen, I got the temporal aura of everybody. Let's go back to when the loom exploded and let's do this. But before he can do that, everyone starts disappearing around him, and that whole thing starts unraveling there. And then he actually gathers his control and is able to get the whole thing. But he's like, listen, this whole thing was wrong. We didn't need temporal auras. It's about people instead. So Loki focuses in on the people that he wants to visit. Apparently, he can control his time slipping then. And he jumps back to the moment before the loom exploded, and episode's over.
Hmm. And I think it's actually really important not to skip over that after Sylvie does tell him, like, you were selfish, he goes back and he tells them all, I was
Oh,
selfish.
yes,
I
I'm
should have
sorry.
brought
Yes,
you here.
yes, yes, yes.
No. And I only bring this up because I am making the case this whole series, I'm making the case that Loki is transforming into a bona fide hero. And I think this moment also exemplifies that because, yeah, he admits, I want my friends back. It's not about saving the world. And when that's pointed out to him, he owns it and says, all right, I got to do right by my friends. And it's Sylvie who jumps in through the portal and goes, all right. And he's like, no, I did. I'm sending them back. It's like, no, no, no. Shit's going down. You were right. We're all spaghettifying or whatever she says. And she's the one who tells him to keep them there. And then, what happens, happens.
Yeah, and that's left on the ultimate cliffhanger going into the to the season finale. I mean, could be the series finale. I have no idea what their plans are for Loki moving forward. I would be shocked if if they don't find something else for him to do, like going. I mean, he'll have other shit to do in the movies or the TV show. My guess is the show will continue. They will pick it up for season 3.
Yeah. I here's my wish is they pick it up for season 3. They give it a 12 episode, at least a 12 episode arc. To have like what's becoming now a full season. We don't need 24. That was always a lot. But give it a 12 episode arc. Use these characters because and divorce it from what's going on in the movies. Like I don't actually even want to see this Loki in the movies. I don't want to see this go over. And I like the bleed over. I do like that, but this is something that was set up to be its own thing. Like it's literally a branched timeline of the MCU, right? So like keep it that way and go crazy balls to the wall, be as sci-fi and time travel and weird as you want, and have fun with it and give us another full season. That's what I want from this personally. Because also Hiddleston and Owen Wilson are brilliant. Actually, every actor they have in this is brilliant.
So I agree with you that Loki, the show, should be doing its own thing, but this show, I do think. All right, so This show is doing some heavy lifting for the overall MCU. I think with the whole Kang thing, because let's not forget that that's still a thing, even though there
You're
was,
right.
you know what I mean. So it's going to be hard for. All right, so here's some of my guesses here. I don't think it was a mistake that they lined up the season finale with the release of the Marvels. Those both happen tomorrow, technically, even though we're actually not going to see the preview night because some jackass is going to see guys hockey tickets for tomorrow night already. Otherwise, we would be there, tomorrow, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever the hell. But we're going to be going Friday afternoon. I don't think that was a coincidence. I think and a lot of the stuff you hear about the post-credit or mid-credit scene in the Marvels, because I know there's no post-credit, there's a mid-credit, is apparently pretty big. It's leaked online. I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to know shit about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything either.
Yeah, me neither. But from what I'm understanding, there's multiversal things in the film. So I have a feeling there's going to be a tie-in. These two are going to have the connection because, again, they don't do things like that by coincidence.
Yeah. But I also want to say that, whereas I agree with you, this is doing heavy lifting, because we have the multiverse, like in Quantumania, that Kang had nothing to do with Loki, but Loki set that Kang up, and I guess that's what I'm hoping. I hope that, of course, this is going to be setting up Kang stuff and multiverse stuff, and that's to be expected. What I'm saying is, I hope that we don't. I'm hoping to not see Loki and Mobius popping up in a movie. And if they do, they do, and that's fine. But I don't know. I just think this is something that is so it's put together in a way that it can do heavy lifting and be its own thing. And I would like to kind of see it continue to toe that line, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying. There are heavy rumors that the TVA has a hand in Deadpool 3. And that Mobius is
which I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
Okay, which again, whatever. It is what it is, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But also, Deadpool 3, that's the time to have this bleed over. Exactly, all bets are off. Anything could happen.
And Deadpool 3 especially, apparently that's... Yeah, so I don't know. From what I understand, this is the multiverse saga truly kicking into high gear now. With this, the Marvels, Deadpool 3 coming, that type of thing. So, who knows? Maybe the MCU will start giving what some fans want, in the sense of they want their clear-cut path of the overall arching story, because that's been one of the knocks, of Phase 4, and now we're in 5. That's been the knock with it. So I'm guessing is that, and Kevin Feige has hinted at it, is that it was going to start becoming very crystal clear soon. I think they introduced a lot of the new heroes that we got to get, and we got them now. And now it's more all right, let's start full steam ahead now. All right, so that does wrap it up for us this week. Thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, be sure to check out Granny's PhD's Facebook group, because that's where we drop a lot of trailers and stuff like that. I know there was one trailer we did not get to because there was a lot to talk about tonight, but the trailer for Echo did drop.
Yes, which I heard it was good.
Yes, yeah. Jason, if I would have told Jason we were reviewing it, we would have to put it on him. But we'll go over that next week.
We can. Hey, I'll watch it in advance, but I prefer to watch it with you, Ed.
No, it's fine. Hey, listen, we can start next week's episode with the Echo thing, and we'll just do a live reaction right there. So we got that. And also check out popculturepros.com, because that's what we are presented by, Pop Culture Pros. Checking us on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. If you're on X, then make sure you follow at Pop Culture Pros. At Instagram or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Jason and I will be back next week. It is game week, not game day. Game week for us, because we got a new MCU movie dropping Tomorrow
We do.
night will be the Marvels. So we'll be doing our spoiler discussion of the Marvels next week, along with the season finale of Loki. So big show next week. Also, the series finale of Doom Patrol, all in the same episode, and episode 2 of Invincible season 2. So big show next week as well. Be sure to check us out, and we'll see you then. Peace.